This weekend, Elon Musk posted proof that Democrats actually like Doge, or the concept of it, or so they said.
The people demand and deserve an active government on their side. But they don't want a government that wastes money, a government that costs more and does less. They voted for change. They wanted a literal revolution in the way government operates. And now you and I must deliver.
Budget reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way.
What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
We all know that government can be inefficient. We all know that the bureaucracy can be bloated. We all worked in the White House. We tried to reorganize the government. We tried to find efficiency. It's hard to do.
And honestly, some of this is pretty annoying because it's some of the stuff we should have done.
Well, while Democrats and rhinos have always been about talk, the new administration is about action and immediate action. We just got RFK Jr. in the HHS. Doge has been poking around there, and already they're saving us money.
Well, listen to this. Speaking of not laying hens, but laying people off.
or hangovers that are not going to go away.
That's right. Well, Doge this week is laying off, get this, 3,600 probationary employees, 4,000 employees retained. And so then the savings is $600 million. So I guess a probationary doesn't mean they're on probation. It means that they were just recently hired and they're during this probationary period, which makes it easier for Doge and the government to let go of them if they decide that their jobs are not necessary.
Tomorrow, Monday, marks 4 weeks of President Trump's second term in office. And already, every single day, we're reporting on cuts to the size of the federal government. Man, talk about moving quickly. And, of course, he got, whether you like Elon Musk or not personally, whether you like Tesla or not personally, remember, Twitter is around and doing better than ever. And what's one of the first things he did when he took over Twitter?
Well, and this is a guy with Elon Musk. We saw when he took over Twitter, I mean, he slashed a lot of the employees. It's still running just fine. But the biggest problem where we are right now as a country with our federal government, it's too big. This is not the original vision of America. We were supposed to have a decentralized government. That was the whole vision of the founding fathers. So what we have now is the antithesis of what America is supposed to be. And when government becomes so centralized and so big, it becomes corrupt.
Bingo. Aren't conservative women a breath of fresh air? I've been married to one for 28 years. Moral, chaste, smart, principled women are a breath of fresh air on television, especially where the airwaves have been bombarded with a bunch of nasty, hate-filled Marxists. And to hear someone, male or female, quite honestly, to just sit there and extol the virtues of the Constitution and limited government, well, that's just a beautiful thing now, isn't it? Oh, but there's more, folks. There's more. Trump administration have fired thousands at health agencies. Employees across agencies who were hired in the past 1 or 2 years are being targeted. And we just saw that in this report I just played for you from Fox and Friends this weekend. But we have numbers, and it's not just health and human services. Massive shakeup at NIH and CDC. Over 5,000 probationary employees were fired at the very beginning of this weekend in a Friday purge. The Trump administration has launched a significant workforce reduction targeting over 200,000 probationary federal employees across multiple agencies, including a staggering purge at the National Institutes of Health and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Now, according to Stat News that tracks what's going on in the health and medical field, it was 5,200. That's what the bloodbath looked like on Friday. Now, I want to show you this tweet from a person at NIH that was canned. And let me read this to you, but the comments are absolutely brutal, but absolutely on point. Check this out. This person named Katie said, today, along with 2,000 other NIH employees, I had to clear out my office. Drowning in tears emoji. It was truly the honor of my life to work with such incredibly passionate people focused on improving human health. But was she even in the office? Did they actually improve human health? Tell me if you don't agree with some of these comments and this very accurate depiction of Dr. Anthony. Layla says, and the truth is, regular Americans will not notice a single difference with all the thousands of folks now not working on whatever it is you were working on. Camille says, but we're not improving. We're the sickest, I think she meant fattest here, fattest country in the world. What were you all doing to, quote, improve human health? Honest question, politics aside, what have you all done to make us healthier? We're the bottom of the barrel compared to other places. Annie J says, how often were you in that office? Remember, what is it? 5 or 6% of the federal workforce was actually in the office. A majority were still able to work under pandemic rules and not even report to their particular offices. How often were you in that office? Apparently, your passionate people weren't doing a good job. Welcome to the real world where we lose our jobs if we suck. That's the real world. There was this SNL sketch, Throw It on the Ground. It was one of those digital shorts that I used to laugh at with my kids. I don't know, this was like 15 years ago when Junior and Juniorette were like tweens. And there's one line in there where I think it's Adam Sandberg, and he says, welcome to the real world, jackass. And I used to tell my kids all the time when they would whine about something that's not fair or whatever, I would just go, welcome to the real world, jackass. I mean, because that's the kind of parents that the missus and I are. We love our children to death. We dote over them. We spoil them. But we teach them principles. All my kids have a great work ethic. And they realize that there's no just like, oh, just because I show up, I get a participation trophy. No, welcome to the real world, jackass. If your job is useless, why should the taxpayer pay you to do a job that's useless? So I really liked those comments. Bravo to my fellow patriots here. And Katie, I hope you land on your feet and find a job where you can contribute and earn your paycheck.
Welcome to the real world, jackass!
Breaking news this weekend, Trump DOJ has fired 20 immigration judges.
You will receive your termination notice via email shortly, and it will include the reason for termination.
Well, that was a notice received as President Trump absolutely cleaning house. The Justice Department fires 20 immigration judges from backlog courts amid major government cuts. A union official says the Trump administration has fired 20 immigration judges without explanation amid sweeping moves to shrink the size of the federal government. President Trump's Justice Department fired 20 immigration judges in its latest move to cut waste and downsize the government. According to ABC News, 13 judges and 5 assistant chief immigration judges were axed without explanation. The immigration courts are completely overwhelmed with millions of cases. Trump is on a roll, fulfilling his campaign promise to shrink government and cut wasteful spending. And by the way, folks, let's not forget that as many as 15,000 IRS workers have been identified for possible termination as early as next week. President Trump is targeting the IRS. He is getting rid of the dead weight. And that's what we elected him, partially one of the many things we elected him to do. Now, of course, we can expect the left and their lying mockingbird media muppets to start fear-mongering people about this IRS cut, that you're not going to get your tax returns or whatever. The employees, the 15,000 employees that have been identified for possible termination, are on probationary status with limited tenure in their jobs and do not have jobs directly related to processing tax filing. That is what an insider told ABC News. A Department of Government Efficiency employee arrived at the IRS's headquarters on Thursday asking about the agency's technology and how audits are done. So within one day of Doge arriving, they were able to figure out about 15,000 jobs that can be ixnayed. They came to that conclusion in about a week. Talk about Doge efficiency. Doge itself is efficient. Speaking of Doge, a lot of people have been questioning what happened to Vivek Ramaswamy. It was supposed to be him and Elon Musk doing Doge. Well, you don't really need two people now to do that. Plus, Vivek Ramaswamy has other plans. He has filed paperwork. It's now official to run for the governor of Ohio. Vivek Ramaswamy has filed paperwork to run in the state's upcoming 2026 gubernatorial election. He filed paperwork with the Ohio Secretary of State on Friday, indicating that he will be running for governor of the state. The 39-year-old entrepreneur's campaign reportedly filed the designation of treasurer form, which is the official document a candidate must complete before their campaign begins spending or accepting money. He is expected to officially make his announcement later this month. If you go over to his website, he has a big thing, says, I have a big announcement. It's Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm hitting the road for a major announcement, and I want to see you there, with stops in Cincinnati, New Albany, Toledo, and Strongville. So, yeah, obviously he's running for governor of Ohio. And I'm sure Ohio will probably love to have someone like Vivek Ramaswamy. So, when that announcement happens, obviously I'll be covering it here and bringing it to you. All right, let me get into what I think is a huge story developing this weekend. But let me start off by telling you an anecdote. Bear with me for about 40 seconds here. I have a personal Facebook, and it's private, and these are people I've known for years or what have you. I don't generally talk politics on here, but when someone posts a story on Facebook or makes a post on Facebook with their political ideas or opinions, I think that if you put it out there, your opinion, then I should be able to respond or reply on social media to your opinion. And what I've seen lately is someone I know, I probably known them for, I don't know, probably since 2013, so a dozen years now. They posted, and this person has gone like super left. Like there was someone I knew that I thought they were moderate, but they've gone super left. And she made a video about saying, well, for all those of you who voted for Trump, I paid 50 cents more in gas this week than I did last week. And that's in California, where in California, we're subject to very high state gas taxes. So I responded to that, that comment, that video that this person made and put on Facebook. I guess it'd be more than 40 seconds, bear with me. And they got all tizzy and tiffy and threw a hissy fit with me and don't follow me or whatever. They put it out there and I just said, dude, the guy's been in office less than a month. Give it some time. He did it in his first term. He lowered gas prices. It's probably going to happen again. Just give it some time. Person got upset that I called them out on that. I just even said, just give it some time. Give the guy some time. And of course, they're TDS. You can't really with these people. Then another person posted something very similar. And I responded the same thing. I said, hey, the guy's been in office for like less than 4 weeks. Give him some time. I got the same response. Well, stop following me if you're going to defend a convicted felon and a rapist. Well, one person actually, and another person actually left it open and said, well, we'll see. They actually said, save this conversation because gas prices aren't coming down and he's a liar. I guess that's a long segue into what I want to report to you right now.
This is a real emergency because under the Biden administration restricted the production of oil and gas. Production's still coming, but when you stop holding leases, when you take 625 million acres of land out of ocean land, out of production possibilities through an executive order, you're really restricting the balance sheet of America. But today, as President Trump said, this is unleashed.
All right, let's get into this, folks. For those of you that have had to deal with this new talking point of the left, I'm sure if I'm seeing it on my personal social media. You're probably seeing it as well. The two talking points are that Elon Musk is the shadow president, and this new one I've been seeing from several people on the left. These are just people who just parrot what they hear on MSNBC, CNN, or whatever else they get their leftist garbage think from, is that gas prices haven't come down in the first 4 weeks of President Trump. Well, this is the beginning of the end of that. Breaking news: Trump unleashes the oil battle, reverses Biden's ban, and opens 625 million acres for drilling. Drill, baby, drill. In a massive strike against the eco-extremist agenda on the left, President Donald Trump, along with Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, have opened Pandora's box of energy independence. They have reversed the absurd ban imposed by Joe Biden, opening over 625 million acres for oil and gas drilling and exploration. The move is nothing less than a declaration of war against progressives who want to see the United States on its knees.
The National Energy Dominance Council will be made up, all the folks that are standing beside me here, other cabinet leaders and many more, represent President Trump's wise decision that we need a whole of government approach to unwind.
What we have here is Trump establishing the National Energy Dominance Council led by Secretaries Burgum and Wright. This is good news, folks. This is good news coming into the beginning of this weekend out of Washington. President Donald Trump signed an executive order establishing the National Energy Dominance Council to advise the president on strategies to make the United States energy dominant.
The Biden administration had a whole of government approach that had the war against U.S. energy. Now we need to turn that around 180 degrees and unleash that potential. We've got to unleash it from the Gulf of America all the way up to Alaska. We have amazing resources in this country, and we haven't been getting a return on them. Many of these are under public lands. The interior has 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface minerals, critical minerals, and offshore close to 2 billion acres. And that balance sheet is the biggest balance sheet in the world, and it's been completely underutilized. Everybody knows we have 36 trillion in debt as a country, but no one knows how many hundreds of trillions of dollars of assets we have. And President Trump is asking us to go get a return on that investment for the American people.
President Trump just made this move that even his haters and the people with TDS are going to have to bite their bottom lip on this one, as all of our energy prices start to plummet. Even his haters are going to be begrudgingly paying less at the pump very, very soon. Feel free to share this video, this episode with your leftist friends that are parroting this stupid talking point that gas prices haven't come down yet, and President Trump's been in office for at this point, 27 days or so.
With that, we're going to have prosperity at home with lower prices, and we're also going to have peace abroad, because the wars that we've been engaged in, or our allies have been fighting over the past few years, have been funded by the oil sales of our adversaries.
I hope that history reports accurately the Biden regime. First of all, if the Biden regime should have even existed in the first place, I'll just leave it at that, since we're here on YouTube. And also how literally Joe Biden worked against the American people and was paid to do so. He was a total China plant, and as a mouthpiece or a puppet for the warmongers, he did everything that was anti-American, from making us no longer energy dependent to allowing Russia to fund their, a lot of people on the left are like, oh, Ukraine, and Russia. People on the right as well. That's fine. Russia was able to fund this war by literally fund their war in Europe against Ukraine by selling Europeans their natural resource of oil and natural gas. The whole thing is just, it would be a stupid plot to a novel if you had some mean guy that was going to take over the world and he's funding his war machine by selling something to the same people that he's at war with, essentially. There's no way you can think that it was just stupidity on Joe Biden and the Obama regime. It was all by design. It was all on purpose. And President Trump is saying, let's put a stop to this. And not only will it bring peace, it will also bring prosperity.
So with that, I want to say again, thank you to President Trump, and I want to thank my fellow members of the Energy Council here. I'm going to kick it over to the Vice Chair, Chris Wright, who's the Secretary of the Department of Energy.
A White House document on the order provided to Breitbart News notes that Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum will chair the council, while Energy Secretary Chris Wright will be the vice chairman. Various cabinet and agency members will also serve on the council.
Thank you, Secretary Burgum. Today is truly a great day for our country today. And Secretary Burgum laid out so many of the problems the last 4 years. If you put barriers in front of energy, you make it more expensive, you make it less reliable, you make it harder to do business here, and harder for our consumers to pay their bills.
The council advised President Trump on strategies to achieve energy dominance by improving the processes of permitting, production, generation, distribution, regulation, and transportation across all forms of American energy, the White House document states.
With this fantastic action from our president, we now have authority across the government to lean in to fix these problems.
Moreover, the council is directed to present a strategy to Trump focused on ending bureaucratic hurdles and boosting investments in the private sector.
And I'll start out with one specific right away. This morning, I signed our first LNG export license, unpausing the pause in action. The Commonwealth LNG project that'll be on the Gulf Coast in Louisiana is now officially ready to go. This will be a large construction project for American workers. It'll draw demand for more American energy production that'll be shipped overseas to our allies.
If our allies in Europe have access to our natural gas, liquid natural gas, and other natural resources, then they won't be dependent on China and Russia for those. Russia and China lose their dominance, and because of the prosperity, this will bring prosperity to America and bring peace to the world. It's a win-win-win-win situation. How the hell can you be mad at Trump for this? Unless, of course, you are stage 2, 3, or 4 TDS. And that sickness is so terminal, no amount, it seems, or it's a miracle when logic and common sense is able to penetrate and cure that TDS.
And with this President Trump and our new National Energy Dominance Council, there's so many things we can do to make American lives better, bring down costs, and grow opportunities. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to a fellow member of the council, our Administrator of the EPA, Lee Zeldin.
Thank you, Secretary. And honored to be serving on the Energy Dominance Council. At EPA, we're doing our part to power the great American comeback. And President Trump has made it clear that he wants EPA to be doing our job to ensure that we are unleashing energy dominance however we can help.
And once again, this shows the power of President Trump's leadership. Doesn't try to do it alone, gets a council, puts people in that are smart, Burgum, Wright, Lee Zeldin, and then says, hey, he unleashes them to do what must be done for the American people. Things are about to get so good that even our TDS brothers and sisters, co-workers, family and friends, schoolmates, roommates, people in our neighborhood are going to begrudgingly filling up their tanks and spending less money to do so as they continue to curse President Trump under their breath. But at least they'll have more money in their pockets.